Will the Panasonic S1H Mark II redefine what it means to be a true hybrid cinema camera? Can it keep pace with the Sony FX3, the Canon EOS R5C, and will it deliver dynamic range and codecs and other features that pros demand? Or will it miss the mark? We'll take a look at the most user-requested capabilities for what the S1H Mark II should actually be. But first, I have a simple and humble request. Please subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps this channel grow, and it keeps you informed on the latest camera gear. The S1 and the S1R were announced all the way back on September the 26th, 2018. That's over 6 years ago, leaving many customers wondering if Panasonic is actually serious about supporting the camera line, the S series, and when an update will come, if ever, considering the current crisis that upper management is facing. I love what Panasonic's brought to the marketplace. I think what they did in the S1, the S1R, the S1H, the GH5, GH6, and GH7, among many of their cameras, is terrific for video-centric shooters, videographers, cinematographers. To be able to do what we can do on a budget is amazing. So in the absence of anything credible from Panasonic or any credible leaks, I've decided to assemble specifications from you and other viewers to put them together in what we consider to be a realistic S1H Mark II. Despite what Panasonic said in the marketplace a couple of years ago about the marketplace not needing 8K, many viewers are interested in 8K OpenGate on the S1 too. And when it comes to 4K, well, people are also looking for OpenGate. Now, let's kind of clear things up here. You can't have OpenGate in 8K and not have it in 4K because OpenGate gives you the full sensor readout. So what we're talking about here is a desire for really two different resolutions. One is 8K up to 30 frames per second, and another is 6K up to 60 frames per second. And when it comes to 4K, what a lot of people are looking for is, at least the ones with 8K, with 6K it's slightly different, we're looking at 8K oversampled 4K. And for those looking for 6K, they obviously want 6K oversampled 4K. But there's a couple of other things that, well, viewers are interested in. Now, not just Apple ProRes RAW, but B-RAW as well, along with OpenGate. And I think OpenGate should be on any camera, and it isn't. And this is one of those opportunities for Panasonic to show, hey, look, we're really serious about updating and giving cinematographers and videographers what they need. Now, in terms of other high frame rates, in 1080, well, many of you would like to see 240 frames per second. And I agree somewhat. I have the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, and guess what? It can do 240 frames per second. Here's a shot right here, and another right here. Did you notice anything about those shots? Perhaps the lack of detail? How it looked soft? What I would like to see in the S1, the S1R, or the S1H Mark II is higher frame rates, but not at the sacrifice of detail. I would like to see the S1H Mark II offer 240 frames per second, but with much better detail. And that's a bit of a tall ask. The R5 Mark II, it sells for $42.99. And that's a little bit on the high side of the price range we expect to see the S1 too. We've heard a lot about dynamic range, and dynamic range does matter, especially in high contrast areas like this one here. And when it came to dynamic range, many asked for 14 plus stops. And you might be wondering, well, hold on a minute, Simon, doesn't the R5 Mark II have 16 stops of dynamic range? Yes, it actually has 16 plus stops of dynamic range, which means it could be 16.001 or 16.1 to up to 16.99. But when it comes to actually measured, remember that's Canon's version of what the stops of dynamic range are, but when measured using industry standard tools, well, the camera fares in at around 13.5 stops, which is still very good. So in the S1 II, people are asking for 13 plus or 14 plus stops of dynamic range. I assume what they're looking for is industry standards. So that would take it on par with what we see with the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. And if we look at all the cameras in the marketplace, the R5 Mark II in terms of dynamic range, at least for video, well, it's in the top 7 of all the cameras in the marketplace. And that is pretty impressive. I just mentioned B-RAW, but people were asking for internal B-RAW, and I agree, internal B-RAW and internal Apple ProRes RAW. Announced with the Panasonic S5 Mark II, the new Phase Detect autofocus system was well received, but many were hoping for an update to keep it current with improvements from cameras such as the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. It's no longer about having the fastest autofocus system. It's about being able to track our subjects naturally as we would with our own eyes. 4K, 6K, 8K, open gate, improved dynamic range. They're all great. What we really want, though, is to be able to have a really good detailed image, a clear image, and even when we're whenever we're shooting in low light, to be able to deliver images that don't just have good dynamic range, but have really good color rendition, where we're not having to struggle in post to bring the colors back, to get those natural skin tones. But there's something else as professionals we'd like to see an improvement in, and it's those exposure tools. Panasonic needs to dump false colors for the EL zone. This might sound sacrilegious, but bear with me for a moment, because the EL zone is a tool designed to improve upon traditional systems for exposure, such as false colors. It offers greater precision, consistency, and a more intuitive approach to the on-set exposure management. Unlike false colors, the EL zone provides a more standardized method. One of the main issues with false colors is the lack of standardization. Different monitors and cameras interpret and display it in varying ways, making it less reliable for monitoring consistent exposure across varying devices. And while I do believe that the EL zone is the next big exposure tool, something to make our lives a whole lot easier, to provide us with that standardization across different displays and devices, that's a really big deal. But there's something else as a videographer and cinematographer that many have asked for, and that's internal ND filters. And no, I'm not talking about electronic ones. And still, it's nice, but I know what you're thinking. Nothing beats optics, and the optics of internal ND filters, bringing that for the S1 II, well, that's something the competition has yet to do. Despite Canon having come out with several patent applications showing cameras such as the R1 or R3, as well as other size cameras such as the R5 Mark II, being redesigned to support internal ND filters. And all we have to do is look at the competition. The Sony FX3 is performing very well, offering capabilities that are attractive, not just to Panasonic customers, customers of the S1, the S1R, the S1H Mark II, as well as the GH7, but Canon customers, as Canon takes time to update their cinema line. Look, it's not 2018 anymore, it's not 2019. The competition now in this space is rather steep. Looking at the competition, we have the Canon EOS R5, the cinema version, it's $33.99. The FX3, $38.98, and the R5, the Mark I, $27.99, while the Mark II is $42.99. And of course, there's the Nikon Z8 at $36.96. Do you like any of those cameras? Any of them at all? Because that's the price segment that the S1 II is going to be introduced into. And that should give you an idea of what you can expect to see, at least in terms of the main specifications, IBIS, dynamic range, resolution. But it's those video-centric capabilities that I'm most concerned about, and I'm really looking forward to seeing. I've been shooting with a Canon EOS R5 Mark II for, well, 3 to 4 months now. And I'm just blown away by Canon Log 2, that 16 plus stops of dynamic range. And of course, waveforms. It's so easy to shoot now without worrying about getting the exposure right. Using the tools, it's just absolutely amazing. I no longer have to rely on the EVF not having enough dynamic range itself to be able to see if I'm exposing things properly. That's what we need with the S1 II. So Panasonic, I understand you're going through a lot of financial and organization issues right now. I really do hope that this quarter you are going to make us at least an announcement of the S1, the S1R, and the S1 II. I really do hope we get to see refreshes of your current S-series cameras, because I'm a video shooter, and many watching this video, this channel, are video shooters as well. and you were a leader for many, many years, but 6.5 years, by the time we get any announcement, at the very earliest, 6.5 years is far too long for a loyal following to stay loyal. I've heard from many Panasonic customers that were tired of waiting and went to the R5, went to the Nikon Z8, went to the Sony FX3, the FX30, or even this camera has gotten a lot of attention in 2024 after its announcement, and that's the ZV-E10 Mark II. So please, and for all you watching at home, if you liked any of the cameras that I talked about and you're interested in purchasing, or if you're willing to wait until Panasonic announces more cameras, please consider using my affiliate links down below, because it's what literally keeps the lights on and it's what supports this channel. However, if you do have Honey or other systems that always offer to give you better prices, be careful of those, because as soon as it asks you and you interact, any affiliate link or pre-order link you click on for this channel gets overwritten, even if they don't offer you a better price. I really don't like their predatory nature. It's we do a lot of hard work, and then what do? They come in and steal it at the last moment. But I understand. You got to do what's best for you. If you're going to purchase from Amazon.com, Adorama B&H, then please consider using my affiliate links. I have them, these guys right here and down below. And I've got about 20 sales on right now. Unfortunately, nothing from Panasonic. Well, actually, no, the S5 II and IIX are on sale. And again, thank you to everybody that has used my affiliate links in the past. It's very much appreciated. I want to wish you a good day, a good week, and we'll see you again soon.